guys, it's your boy, Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be doing the match analysis from the match yesterday between Barcelona and Bayern Munich, where Barcelona for back-to-back years have sunk to the Europa League after yet another embarrassing performance at the Camp Nou. What we're going to do is take a brief look at some stats, but then analyze Xavi's post-match press conference and the match reaction of the President Joan Laporta, 3 other players, and then just talk about the match, what to look forward to in the future as well. But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below. Let's try to get to 200 likes this video. Be very much appreciated. And also, if you're new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, before we get into the video, this video is sponsored by Number 1 Foot. Number 1 Foot is one of the best replica football jersey websites on the market. They have fantastic qualities at fantastic prices. I ordered some the other day and I got the treble winning jersey for Barcelona in the 14-15 season. The quality is absolutely unreal at a fantastic price. Look at the badge on the jersey. It is fantastic. You have the Nike logo as well, looking brilliant. It has the right tags, the right size, the right material, and it's at a fantastic price. And on their website, they do have the new Barcelona kit for this season with the Spotify logo. You can pick what badge you want on the sleeve, La Liga, Champions League. You can pick whatever number you want, whatever name you want on the back as well. And again, the material is absolutely unreal. Here I have the 2007 Champions League kit for Barcelona. As you can see, it has the UNICEF logo, the Nike, the Barcelona badge with the Camp Nou name around it. And if you use the discount code BOY at checkout, you do get 15% off your final order. That is BOY. Use it at checkout, 15% off, and all orders over $80 get free shipping as well. So go down below, top link in the description, and get your new football kit today. The starting lineup for this match is on the screen right now. It was Ter Stegen in goal, a back 4 of Bellerin, Kounde, Marcos Alonso, Alejandro Balde, midfield 3 of Busquets, Kessie, and De Jong, and a front 3 of Dembele, Lewandowski, and Pedri. And in this match, Xavi did use all 5 of his substitutions. He brought in Ferran Torres, Ansu Fati, Raphinha, Garcia, and Pablo Torre, and took off Kounde, Busquets, Dembele, Lewandowski, and Pedri. Let's briefly take a look at some of the stats from this match because I just don't want to look at it whatsoever. But again, as you can see from the graphs and the numbers and the arrows, it's just pure domination from Bayern Munich. They had an XG of 2.4 and an XG on target of 2.2, whereas Barcelona had an XG of 0.54 and an XG on target of 0.0. Again, for Barcelona, no shots on target in a big Champions League match. At the passing network, you can see Alonso was very much involved in this match. He had the most passes, most threatened passes. He had most pass combinations as well, most progressive passes. So you can see why Alonso does work as a left center back for Xavi. He was involved a lot. The most threatening combination was between Bellerin and Lewandowski, and the most passing threats that were received from a player was from Lewandowski as well. But you can see the XT flow as well. It's just pure domination from Bayern Munich. These stats just show how Barcelona did not compete whatsoever. Let's now get into Xavi's post-match press conference reaction and the match reaction of 4 other people. Those 4 people are firstly the president of the club, Joan Laporta, and the 3 players that were selected were Marcos Alonso, Marc Ter Stegen, and Pedri. Now, before we get into it, again, no captains whatsoever to put their face in front of the media. What did they do? A new signing, a youngster, and somewhat of a veteran in the team. No Busquets. Well, the other 3, Roberto's injured and Pique and Jordi Alba did not play. So only Busquets could come out and speak. But yeah, he'll talk when we beat, Athletic Club 4-0. But when it's soft moments like this, he sends out the kids. Absolute disgrace. But let's get and see what everyone had to say. First up is Marcos Alonso, which, as you saw from the stats, he was fairly involved in this match in a positive way for Barcelona. And of course, new signing being thrown under the bus. But let's get and see what he had to say after the match. He was asked how he feels. He said, look, we'll have to talk about this at the end of the season. There's still many things to fight for. I think we are ready to compete in the Champions League, but we have to pay attention to small details. Keep in mind, this is a player who won the Champions League about 2 years ago, and he's saying, look, we have the quality, we have the ability, but when the moment comes in, we tend to crumble. Next up is Marc Ter Stegen, who in my opinion did have his worst performance of the season against Bayern Munich last night, but let's see what he had to say after the game. He came out saying, "It's a weird feeling. It was already a matter of just having some pride. It's not easy. We have to focus now on La Liga and compete for the Europa League. That's what we have to do. It hurts me. Our goal was to stay in the Champions League. We have to criticize ourselves. We are the first to want to improve in this team." Now, Ter Stegen was visibly, crying a bit or looked very disappointed after the match, so you can tell he cares, but then again, it's just, he's been in those moments, Bayern Munich, PSG, Juventus over the past few years, Rome, Anfield. He's one of those veterans I talked about in my match review, who was there for every single one of those moments, so he's suffered a lot, but again, I think in this past match, he could have done better. I think out of the 2 goals, you look at that Choupo-Moting goal right between his legs, I think he can save that. It wasn't his best showing, but again, he has been world-class this season, so we can let him off on this one, but again, he was visibly very disappointed after this result. Next up is Pedri, who's of course one of the youngsters that the captains threw in front of the media, and this is like his, 10th time speaking after a match this season. He spoke after Inter, I think twice. I mean, he's going to be a brilliant captain in the future, in my opinion, but let's get and see what he had to say after the match. He came out saying that agreeing the fans afterwards, which I will talk about later on. We want to do that because the fans are behind us. They're behind us every day, no matter what happens, and that's our appreciation. We're going to give them victories and hopefully titles. We want to win for the fans, but we couldn't tonight, and we have to improve a lot on things to be able to compete. We miss a lot of things to be calm with the ball, making the best decisions. There's also the physical aspect of things that need to be improved upon as well, and we have to be more calm with the ball. Sometimes we rush and lose a lot of possession, and we feel sad and guilty. We showed that we did not deserve to play in the Champions League, and there are other competitions left to give joy to the fans who support us so much. So again, credit to Pedri, man. I think over the past few years, he's talked in the media a lot after these poor performances, and I think that will build up his character, of course, but then again, it shouldn't be him. It should be those prats who've been through this week in, week out, and do have a factor in these results. But you know what, credit to Pedri. I love the fact that he understands the club, he knows what we want, and I think in the end, in the future, he will be a brilliant world-class player. Next up is the president of the club, Joan Laporta. Now, Laporta only speaks to the media when 2 things happen. 1, when things are going very well, or 2, when things are going very bad, and today it was that latter. So let's get and see what our president had to say after the match. He came out saying, "Unfortunately, the miracle did not happen because Inter won. Emotionally, it's very difficult to play a match, and I want to thank the fans. We had the best fans in the world, but it was difficult to play today's game. We had to look forward. We know that during the rebuilding process, there would be ups and downs. Bayern is one of the best teams in Europe, and it is complicated for us to play knowing that you are eliminated. We watched the Inter match, and it was torture because we expected a miracle that didn't happen. The message to the Cules is let's look forward. We have the league, we have other competitions, and we have the best fans in the world." The coach also made the youngsters play so that they could grow. Grateful to everyone to show their faces today, but we can't stop here. We have to move forward. The team is growing every day, and I want to thank both the players and the fans. So he's saying, look, the reality is we still can't compete. We knew part of this, new project, new rebuild. There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs, but again, the season is not over. We still have 4 trophies to compete for, and we're doing okay so far. Well, La Liga, we're second place, but the other 3 competitions have not started for us quite yet, but he knows that it's going to be a brilliant process, and again, he wants to thank the players for playing and the fans for turning up. We'll talk about the fans later on, but again, nice to hear from the president speak after these, big moments and bad moments as well. Of course, our last president didn't speak at all. He only spoke when we won the treble, and that's pretty much it, and after Anfield as well, but again, I think it's great to have a president like Laporta who gives clarity when the moment comes about, and again, credit to him for speaking to the fans after the match. Time now to get into Xavi's post-match press conference reaction. Of course, he is the manager, and he sets up the teams and the tactics, and his opinion matters the most. So let's get and see what he had to say after the match. He came out saying that we faced the reality. I said we had to grow through hard blows and we have to keep going, but Barcelona did not compete yesterday. We did not reach Bayern's level. The truth is that knowing that we already had been eliminated from the Champions League before the game against Bayern Munich has affected us a lot. We say goodbye to the Champions League, a blow that forces us to be self-critical. I understand that people are talking about failure, but we have to analyze everything, and we have made many mistakes, but in other games we have competed to deserve something something more, but Bayern were better than us yesterday. They played more intense and more aggressive, and we're already thinking about Saturday's match against Valencia to make that redemption possible. But today the fans were a 10 out of 10 and supported us until the last moment. The least we could offer them is to appreciate them and of course thank them, which they did. For the first time this season, I felt like we did not compete at all, and this for me was the hamburger blow from Xavi. He's saying, you know what, today is just a different level. We did not even compete in any way, shape, or form. Now, I did watch back the intro of our game where the players are in the tunnel coming onto the pitch. Fucking all their heads are down, man. It's clear that they watched the game in the locker room. They saw Inter freaking batter Victoria Pleasant 4-0. No matter if they beat Bayern Munich 10-0 or 20-0 or 1-0, they're going to the Europa League, and that's, you know, a big disappointment. If Inter played maybe yesterday and then we played, or sorry, Tuesday, then we played on Wednesday, could have been different. But the reality is, having to play the game after we're confirmed Europa League is a big turnover, but it's still not an excuse in my opinion. They overlooked us completely. We're out because of our mistakes, nothing else. But I still think we can and we need to win titles this season. In Munich though, we were better than Bayern Munich and we didn't take advantage of that. But we have to keep going. We have to fight for titles for the season. And again, I do think we were mentally affected by our elimination before the match when Inter of course beat Victoria Pleasant. I was affected after the match against Inter Milan. The referee decisions were unfair and so was the result. But here today, we were just outclassed. The truth is that last year, unlike last, I felt like we had the squad to win this tournament. What happened is right now unacceptable, and I am the main reason for our elimination, of course, in the Champions League. So he's taking credit, taking off the pressure from the players. Look, the reality is that, is this Xavi's fault? I think Xavi has to take some blame. We're looking firstly at the tactics for the Inter away game at San Siro. Yeah, we lost from a golazo, world-class goal from Çalhanoğlu, but he's playing Raphinha left wing, started Alonso, did not bring Ansu Fati and Ball into the game until 7th minute. San Siro, I think he takes the majority of the blame, but I think everything else is mostly down to the players and their mentality. Again, their mentality is not up to it, and again, that leads to my point about the captains leaving first. Get that fresh, get that old garbage out of there and bring in that fresh new mentality. And I think Xavi has realized that. We see Jordi Alba not getting minutes, Pique not getting minutes, although Roberto and Busquets are only getting minutes because we have no one else. We have no cover. Of course, Jordi Alba and Pique, there is cover and they're not playing. So Xavi does want to take the blame for this result, but again, the main focus is still to win titles this season. The season is not over. It is not dead, but it could be once the end of the season. I think he also did mention, I forgot to put it in the quotes, that he would walk if we don't win trophies this season. And once the season ends and we don't win trophies, I will evaluate my situation, and whether or not I decide to walk away or not will be in question. So we'll have to wait and see for the end of the season. But that concluded Xavi's post-match press comments reaction after the match against Bayern Munich. Now, after the match yesterday against Bayern Munich, one of the most significant things happened that I have not seen over the past few years, and that is the players facing the fans. Now, what happened was the players after the match went to the locker room, got changed, all that sort of stuff, and came back out to face the Gold Nord. If you don't know what the Gold Nord is, that is the stands where all the chanting goes through, all the flags are waving. They're the ones that keep the crowd hype. Now, it's still unclear whether Xavi told the players to face the fans or the fans demanded the players to come out. I've heard both sides. I don't know how the fans can demand that, but somehow they did. Anyways, the video is very emotional. You can see I'm not going to have the audio because I'm talking, but you can see the fans chanting. They're doing the Un Dia de Partir chant in front of the players, and the players, some of them are clapping, some of them are disappointed. I saw on the other angles that Ter Stegen was almost crying. We saw Balde very disappointed, Eric Garcia, Pedri. You saw, I saw Kessie clapping, at the rhythm, of course. And this for me is very significant because we never saw this before. We lost to, although these were away games, we did lose to Rome, Anfield, Bayern Munich. We lost to PSG at home, but there were no fans. We lost to Juventus, there was no fans. This is the first, significant loss that we did have at the Camp Nou, and the players owned up to it, and they went and faced the fans, and the fans encouraged them. Imagine you go out there, have a big failure, go to the Europa League, you go out to the fans, and they're still chanting and encouraging you like they did in the match. From minute 1 to minute 90, those fans were chanting every single second. They chanted Xavi's name, Lewandowski's name, encouraged the team, even when we're getting absolutely battered. And that shows for me there's confidence. If this happened under Koeman, Setien, Valverde, I promise you would have heard whistles and boos after the match. But again, all us fans are like this. We are confident and we're motivated again because we have a strong squad, we have a good manager, and the ambition is there. It's just now putting the pieces together. But again, for me, the players facing the fans is very, very significant, and hopefully this comes as motivation. They see the fans chanting them, they're losing at their worst moment, they go out there and want to fight for them again. But if you go to the Barcelona social media, you'll see the angle from the social media team down the bottom. You'll see the players' faces and their big indication. It looks like some of them didn't want to be there. I don't know if Xavi forced them or maybe the captains forced them, although I didn't think at first that the captains were there, but they are there. As you can see there in the back, that's Pique, Busquets, and Jordi Alba are there. The injured players like Kessie, like Christensen, Roberto, Depay are not there, but all the players that were on the bench and in the starting lineup were there and faced the fans. So again, very significant moment in my opinion, and hopefully this serves as big motivation for the players. So overall, final thoughts on the match against Bayern Munich and on the Champions League as a whole as well, since we're officially eliminated and we're going to the Europa League. Like I said in the match review yesterday, and I'll say it again, it's a big blow, but we all know the capabilities of this team. We know the board works so hard on making the squad competable, making the stronger, being able to compete. The board did not pay 10 million euros out of their pockets for Jules Kounde for nothing. The ambition is there, the players are there. It's just, again, in those big moments that we just crumble. In the big moments when we face, Villarreal or Athletic Club, like if we have a, Copa del Rey final in 2 weeks against Villarreal, I'll be so confident we'll win. Against those mid-level to, not really high-level, those mid-level teams where they could cause damage and it's a big moment, the players always turn out. We saw it under Koeman, we saw it under Valverde, but against the big teams in the big moments, we've always crumbled. And this, again, is another big blow, but the confidence is there. I think Joan Laporta coming out after the match and speaking and backing Xavi is very, very significant. And there are already reports coming out like, oh, the captain's going to leave, there's going to be big changes. All I can say is this: we have to see how the season plays out. I think saying Xavi out and all this stuff now is ludicrous. We still have 4 trophies to compete for. The quadruple is still on, or the domestic treble is still on, whether you think we're going to win it or not. It's still there. Again, it is a big blow. You probably think that I'm being optimistic. I'm not. I'm freaking fuming about this. I am pissed off beyond belief. But the thing is with me is that I was pissed off 2 weeks ago when we drew with Endry 3-3. At that moment, that's for me is when Europa League was confirmed. Whether or not we beat Bayern Munich or Victoria Pleasant, Inter only needed 3 points and didn't depend on us. And their next game was against Victoria Pleasant at the San Siro. Probably the easiest 3 points they ever got in their lives in the Champions League. So I've already accepted this fact. I know I've seen a lot of fans react because now it's officially confirmed that we're in the Europa League. But for me, it was already confirmed last week. But all I can say is this: you have to wait for the season to play out to make judgment on some players. I see people hating on Bellerin, Kessie, and on Xavi as well, although Bellerin was giving me some 8-2 Bayern Munich flashbacks, but you have to wait till the end of the season and then evaluate the situation then. Like Alonso said after the match, we still have a long season to go, which is understandable. I think this World Cup break could serve as good for Barcelona, especially some of our players win the World Cup as well, whether it's European players, whatever it may be. I think this World Cup break will be important, but now I am a bit worried about the games coming up. I think we have Valencia, Victoria Pleasant, a game in La Liga, which I forget. I think it's a home game, and then we have an away game. Then we're off to the World Cup. So there's 4 games left. It's got to be 4 wins. If we drop points in any way, shape, or form, I'll be worried. Except for the Victoria Pleasant match. I don't really care about that, but in the league, we had to keep up with Real Madrid. Of course, Real Madrid are going to be competing in the Champions League, which of course, hopefully, will serve as an advantage to us. But then again, we're playing in the Europa League. We're going to compete for that. Europa League right now is looking more harder than the Champions League. I think Atletico Madrid, Juventus, Sevilla, you got United, Rome, Arsenal. They're all dropping down. You still have that Tottenham group that's still undecided, and the AC Milan group. So, the Europa League is looking stronger than ever. So it won't be a walk in the park. But that round 32 is going to be difficult because we do face second place in the Europa League who are there right now, or teams who have dropped from the Champions League. Of course, last season we did get Napoli, which was the worst case scenario. Again, I have to say this as well. Barcelona's luck over the past year and a half has been dreadful. Like, we're getting the worst draws possible. We got Napoli, Galatasaray, Eintracht Frankfurt, basically all the worst case scenarios. We got the group of death as well, literally the worst group you could get. If you can tell me 2 teams not to get, I would have said Bayern Munich and Inter. But hey, this is the cards we dealt with, and we folded big time. So we'll have to see now how the team reacts. Again, it's disappointing, but now for me is the big test. They went out, they faced the Gold Nord, they faced the fans, and now it's that sprint for the rest of the season. We have big games coming up, of course, though 4 trophies to fight for, and now is this time to see the real character of the team and those new players. We'll see the true Raphinha, Lewandowski, Kessie, Christensen. We'll see how Pedri does, Xavi, Balde, Kounde, Araujo when he comes back. Screw the captains. They're going to leave. I mean, I could not give a rat's arse about them. Hopefully, they all get a send-off at the end of the season at the Camp Nou. I think our last game's against... I forget who it is. It's a big team, I remember. Maybe like a Celta Vigo. No, we already played Celta Vigo. I don't know. I remember it being a somewhat decent team. So they got the send-off then, but until then, we have to face reality. We have to play with them. And I still believe in this team to do something this season. I am very, very confident that we will win at least one trophy. The question now is what? Joan Laporta again came out saying that, look, La Liga is the priority. We must win the league at all costs. And I do think when it comes to crunch time, when we're playing Thursday, Sunday every single week, Xavi will start to prioritize La Liga, and I will back it. If we're playing, Arsenal in the Europa League quarterfinal, but we have a big game in La Liga, I'll rest against Arsenal. I don't care about the Europa League. Again, Europa League is irrelevant, whether, again, it's more silverware, but not worth our time. La Liga is where the dominance is. It shows how consistent a team is throughout the whole entire season. So, wait and see. Again, I'm still very disappointed, and I hope we get a reaction from the players. Big 4 games coming before the World Cup. We'll have that nice little break, then back in action right away. I think when we come back, we have La Liga, Copa, and the Super Cup, and then I think the Europa League does not start until February, although the draw is, I think, is going to be taking place before the World Cup starts as well, if I'm not mistaken. So live watch along for that. Deja vu. Anyways, we'll wait and see how the team reacts. For me, we've seen us, have bad moments in the season. Of course, Bayern, the 2-0 loss, Inter. We bounced back in the league, but again, those big moments in the Champions League, we tend to crumble. So we'll wait and see how the team does. Again, I would say save judgment on the new players, and of course Xavi. I say go in on the captains. Again, they have to leave first. I think sacking Xavi now is making no difference. What's the point of building doing a rebuild and having a manager and changing them every single week? It ain't gonna change nothing. The captains have to leave first, and they will leave at the end of the season. And I think by the end of this season, if Xavi does not win a trophy, I think he will evaluate his future as well. Again, he mentioned in the press conference he may walk. He said, you know what, if I don't succeed this season after everything that's happened, all the investment, what's the point of me being here? I may end up walking. But I think the season after will be, not this season, of course, next season will be a big test for Xavi. I think right now the most important thing is just to win something. Of course, we've been now almost 1 or 2 years without a trophy. Last trophy was 2021 against in the Copa, so we're past now a year and a half. We could reach 2 years without a trophy as well, so that's going to be very, very important. So big question now is how will the team react, hopefully in a positive way. But again, this is another big blow for Xavi and the boys, but now is a question of the reaction. So that was my match analysis for Barcelona versus Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and of course leave me all your thoughts down below in the comments on everything we discussed. Your thoughts over on the Champions League, thoughts on the player, the manager, what was said after the match by the president, the player, and the coach, then facing the Gold Nord as well after the match. Leave me all your thoughts down below, and of course make sure you guys subscribe down below as well if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barca.